Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the Collegiate Star League. My name is Joe Laguidis. I'm joined here today by Ravi. You guys probably know him better as Fear Dragon, and we've got a terrific matchup for you today. We've got last year's finalists, Temple. They're going to be facing off against Ontario Tech, a very strong, deep, well-rounded team. And we're going to be hopping into our first match shortly. But before we get going, Ravi, I want to ask you, how do you feel about this matchup, man?
Oh man, I think this is going to be probably one of the best weeks of the CSL we get the privilege of broadcasting, because this is going to be two really hard hitter teams that has some really strong players. I mean, just looking at the rosters right now, of course, Temple StarCraft has those two big hitters of Raze and Tesla that really come to mind. And UOIT also have Ryuga, who's a GM player that I don't know too much about, but also has Juggernaut, Jason, and Bones, a bunch of very strong players.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head there when you were talking about how there's kind of the two really big hitters on Temple in the form of Raze and Tesla, whereas you've got a little bit deeper of a lineup on Ontario Tech. And I think part of that, part of this matchup is going to come down to the fact that kind of the highs are higher on Temple, right? Like Raze, I would say, is edging towards being like a true pro player at this point. And Tesla's also on his way up to that. Ontario Tech might not hit those same peaks, but they definitely have a deeper roster in terms of the lineup. So it's going to be really important here that Raze and Tesla perform and win those individual matches that they're supposed to early on.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it's not much of a surprise, I think, for exactly that reason that we end up seeing from Temple StarCraft that Raze and Tesla are going to be playing in both of the 1v1s. And we end up even seeing Tesla getting involved in that Archon mode match, should we see it later. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see potentially Raze probably come out in the ace match if need be.
Yeah, I think Raze being in the ace match is almost a given. Because Tesla is not allowed to be revived in that ace match because he does play in both the Archon and the 1v1. So that's going to be important to keep in mind here with our CSL rule set. But guys, we're going to be hopping into our first game in just a minute here. And it looks like this map is going to be Overgrowth. Pretty balanced map, been around forever. So both of these players probably have a lot of time to kind of meditate on how they like to play here.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of the very, very old school maps. Of course, last season's ladder map pool was pretty old school in general, but this is one of the classics, really. I don't think many people will have too many complaints about this particular one. Here we go, Joe. We're hopping into it, and we're going to introduce the players. Starting up in the top right-hand corner of the map, it's the purple Terran player representing Temple University. Give it up for Raze. Also representing Sloth Esports.
And his opponent in the bottom right-hand corner, playing for the University of Ontario Institute of Technology, it is going to be Ryuga.
And I was mentioning this before, I'm not as familiar with Ryuga, but Ryuga is a Grandmaster level player. And not only that, but he's got something like a 75% win rate versus Protoss, which just blows my mind. But at the same time, this isn't a ZVP, this is a ZVT.
No, but
right there.
I was just going to say, one thing that's probably worth noting at this point is Ryuga is on Rival, which is one of the bigger North American teams at this point, and that does make him teammates with Cuddlebear, who I think it's fair to say is up there with Raze and Poke Bunny as the top three Terrans in the US. And Rival isn't like, they're not just kind of like a team where they all have the same clan tag and that's about it. They all practice together constantly. So there's a good chance that Ryuga might have some really decent ZVT if he's been active, if he's been practicing with Cuddlebear. And we'll have to see what he wants to bring to bear, because Raze is going to make 3 barracks worth of Reapers.
Yeah, the funny thing about Raze to realize, both him and Tesla are a bit notorious for sometimes just dishing out the weirdness or the funkiness, or even just the straight up cheese. I'm not gonna lie. Raze calls them the meme builds, and we're gonna see a 3 racks Reaper meme build coming out right now from Raze. You try and not necessarily end the game early, and I think that's part of the reason why 2 of these barracks are on the low ground. It's not just to get them a little bit closer to your opponent, it's so that you can start a wall in, so you can take your expansion safely at the end of all of this.
Yeah, well, this first Reaper is going to be coming out across the map. Oh, does this Overlord get the scout off? It sees one barracks. If it pokes its head in and sees two, that's going to give Ryuga a decent amount of time to prepare for what is coming. And now he does see that second barrack. So as the first Reaper arrives, Ryuga should already be in alarm bell preparation mode. We see the spine going down, and it looks like so far he is reacting properly.
Yeah, we do see the Roach Warren coming out almost immediately. That plus the Spine Crawler should make this defense a good bit easier, but it's still very much based on control. Queen's going to get caught by itself. Versus two Reapers, you can technically take that fight, but every bit of health that you lose on that Queen is going to make it a little bit harder to hold on. I think he's just trying to buy time for the Spine Crawler to get up safely, but well, I really like how Raze is controlling this.
Yeah, Raze is a player that, as you mentioned earlier, he's very aggressive, so he's known for his control, and he's really showing that off in strides right now as he continues to kite back, picking off the free lings when available. But now he's going to have to dance around this Spine Crawler. He does go in as it's burrowing down, throws down a lot of those KD8 charges, and he's putting a lot of hurt onto this. He's completely reset the Zergling count at this point, and that Spine Crawler is already in the red here.
But, I mean, Joe, at this point, has the damage already been done? Look at how many Zerglings have already been made and all these Roaches that are being made. His Spine Crawler goes down, and guess what? One Reaper has gone down at the end of all of this. Ryuga is down in workers right now.
Yeah, and behind all of this, Raze is adding on his third CC, so even if he doesn't end the game right now, he's going to be very content to just take map control and allow that to translate into a very strong economic lead. It's just important that he doesn't lose these Reapers because he needs to have the ability to kite any kind of Roaches that come out and try to walk across the map to do damage.
Yeah, the Ravager cocoons are very, very important for Ryuga, and it's because, yeah, the Roaches won't exactly die that quickly to the Reapers. Reapers don't really want to take this straight-on fight versus them, but the Ravagers have that extra range that allow them to get those free pot shots off on the Reapers. Every single time they try and move in, it becomes a bit more dangerous, and for Raze, who hasn't really lost many Reapers, that's his biggest fear, is that he ends up losing a lot of them, and his opponent just moves across the map and kills him.
Yeah, but he's just continuing to do such a good job of dancing at the edge of this creep, throwing the KD8 charges down to zone away these Roaches and Ravagers, and then pulling back any damage units so they don't actually die. And map control is just completely to Raze. That third command center is about 3/4 of the way done, and I think we're going to see him just kind of power up with a heavy economic focus as we move into the mid-game here.
This is becoming a really, really tough situation, I think, for Ryuga, just because normally these Ravagers are at least able to kill, like, maybe a couple more of these Reapers. Maybe you're at least able to get out a drone, start up a third, something along those lines, but I just feel like Ryuga is in a really, really rough spot right now, just making more and more Roaches as well as droning up a little bit more, whereas Raze is just going to be getting up that third command center and just going to have an amazing economy. Even if he ends up losing a bunch of workers to some big counterattack, that third CC just adds so much value.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, and he's continuing to poke away. Some of these Ravagers are starting to get a bit low here. There's even Spine Crawlers being forced to go up defensively. That's not what Ryuga wants to be making right now, and Raze is just continuously dancing away. One Spine Crawler goes down without a cancel. These Reapers are continuing to put the hurt on. It looks like he might be comfortable just straight up fighting that, decides that's not the best choice, and backs out with these KD8 charges to allow his Reapers to escape safely.
Yeah, the big thing to remember is that those KD8 charges aren't just doing damage, they're also spreading out the units, and while they're up in the air flailing about like absolute idiots, they are unable to attack. So effectively it acts as like maybe a half a second to a 1 second stun, and it also spreads all the units out, so it actually makes it a lot harder to get that kind of big focus fire down on individual Reapers. And that's part of the reason why Raze has been able to keep so many of these Reapers alive, but finally he has to back up. Finally, Ryuga can take a third expansion after Raze has already been mining effectively with his third expansion just through the additional mules he's been calling down.
So if you're Ryuga right now, you're in this situation where you're behind economically, you're behind on tech, you're behind on just about everything. What move do you think there is to make here? Do you just kind of turtle up, try not to die, and play a macro game? Or do you take this slightly larger army you have and try to walk across the map and do something?
Honestly, my gut reaction, Joe, would be you made all of these units, you've got to do something with them. But the problem is there are still so many Reapers alive for Raze. Until he cleans these up, he cannot move across the map. And because of that, I think Raze knows it. He is going to try and keep these Reapers alive for as long as possible. And if he can keep them alive a little bit longer, look at this, juking and jiving. Doesn't even end up losing any Reapers on the retreat over here. But this is buying time. He's going to be able to start mining from his third expansion because of this.
Yeah, but now these Lings are starting to get on top of everything. I think we've hit the critical mass of Lings where the overrun could take place. If they get the wraparound, these Reapers will not be long for this world. But it looks like these Reapers are just able to keep juking away. There wasn't the Roach speed, so there was no Roach fire support from the back. A handful of these Reapers live, and Ryuga feels he's bought himself enough space that this could be his moment to go across the map and try to do some damage with this giant army he's been forced to make.
Honestly, Joe, at this point, I don't know if just forcing a lift up on the third will be enough. Maybe killing off a couple of units, but oh, the Reaper's going to the third. No, there it is! GG gets called. Raze takes the game without even taking the final fight.
Yeah, Ryuga, I think he saw that tank get into siege position, and he just felt that there was nothing left for him in this world.
Yeah, it is a really, really frustrating thing when you take all of the harassment and you make your way across the map and you don't even actually take the fight. You just see what your opponent has and you realize it's already too late. Too much damage has been done to yourself and your opponent has already gotten too far ahead for you to really recover. And I think that was sort of the moment and realization that Ryuga ended up having in that game.
Yeah, that can be really frustrating. You know what else can be frustrating?
What?
Trying to form a gaming clan, and that's where Band Gaming can come in to help you out. Band Gaming is a social app that helps to sponsor the CSL and bring you these awesome games, and they provide a lot of organizational features for clans. If you like MMOs, they can help you play in your raids. If you want to start a CSL team, you can put your whole competitive schedule out on there. They have all kinds of great communication ways to communicate with your team, help facilitate that. So whether you're working with a clan, a team, or anything else, I'd highly recommend going to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store and checking out Band Gaming. It's completely free to get going on. And in case you guys are interested, we're going to play a quick ad so you can learn a bit more about them. Don't go anywhere because we'll be right back with Tesla versus Juggernaut Jason.
All of your wind has gone, and all of the paths you've drawn have sunk to the ocean sand where no one can see. You stand, don't let the dark embrace, cower the dreams you chase under the rust and blood. Don't let yourself give up.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the CSL. My name is Joe. I'm joined here today by Fear Dragon, and we're getting ready to hop into our second map. It's going to be a TVP on Vanny Research Station. We're going to have King Tesla going up against Juggernaut Jason. And Ravi, I got to ask, before we start this countdown, before we get anything, I just want to hear your gut prediction here.
You know, my gut prediction, if I have to be very, very realistic about it, it's going to be Tesla, just because I think that he has been a bit of a stronger player lately, but these are also very clashing styles, so it's going to be a bit hard to predict. Jason, I think if this game goes later, will stand a much better chance. Tesla, I think, is going to do better the earlier on or the weirder that the game gets.
Yeah, I think Tesla was the one that you memed into kind of winning with Blink DTs on GM Ladder. Is that correct?
I did, in fact, get him to spend a solid couple hours doing Blink DTs on the GM Ladder. And I think he still believes in the dream as much as I do. And I'm still hoping that he's going to be able to figure things out with it.
All right, I would love to see Blink DTs in this match, although I don't think they're particularly viable in Protoss versus Terran. But maybe that's the answer that struggling Protosses need. They just need to make Blink DTs.
You know, I like to think so. But there are some problems with that when it comes to Liberators, which, by the way, just got nerfed. I actually don't know. Did the patch change the Liberator damage? Or I think that's going to go to a test map first, right?
Yeah, I believe that in the community feedback they were just saying that it's something they're looking at. I don't know if I don't think there was anything that was being final or pushed through.
All right. Well, we're gonna hop into the game. Of course, before we get started, I do want to give a huge thank you. By the way, you guys learned a little bit about Band Gaming, but also be sure to check out Asus, another really, really awesome sponsor for the CSL, and they are back in the sponsorship business for the CSL for the 2016-2017 season. Give them a little bit of love. They have all kinds of monitors, laptops, routers. I use 3 Asus monitors, and they're freaking awesome.
Well, thank you for that introduction to Asus, for anyone that's not familiar with them. And now I think it's time to introduce our players. Spawning in the bottom right-hand side of the screen here, we have our blue Terran player for University of Ontario. It is going to be Jason.
And his opponent spawning up in the top side of the map as the purple Protoss player representing Temple University. Give it up for Tesla, also representing Sloth Esports. And yeah, Temple University currently sitting up 1-0 after a very solid first victory.
Yeah, that was about as decisive looking as a game you can get. Just pinning your opponent back with early aggression. I think he dropped a total of 1 Reaper during that early stage of the game. And
I think the important thing about that is that he wasn't facing off versus some Platinum League player thing. I mean, Ryuga was a Grandmaster level player that's actually really, really solid. Has a pretty decent win rate in the matchup as well, but that just goes to show you how strong of a player Raze really is right now in the North American scene.
Yeah, he's an absolute monster. I think one of the best players in the U.S. at very least, if not one of the best players in all of North America. And Temple, they're really benefiting from that. And we're going to see another kind of GM to GM matchup here, guys. If you're not familiar with Jason, he's a really popular Terran streamer. He's in that high GM level of play. And he's going to be looking to make something happen here.
Mm-hmm. Now, again, to talk a bit about these playstyles, Tesla, a little bit more well-known for going for slightly weirder builds, willing to experiment a bit more outside of the norm from normal Protoss players, and not always in the all-in sense, oftentimes just in different compositions and things like that. You can see that this probe is kind of dancing around. He's going to be going for the pylon rush, but the Reaper is going to be able to catch it. And one pylon does get down, but look at this bunker placement from Jason, basically anticipating that there was going to be a pylon rush.
Yeah, part of me wonders if that's very metagame between these two guys, because both Tesla and Jason do practice primarily on the North American server. They're probably within similar MMR ranges and probably end up playing each other a decent bit. So if you know Tesla's a guy that's willing to just go ahead and go for that pylon rush, why not build a bunker on the low ground where it's going to make the positioning harder, offer you some DPS and protection against that?
It's actually such a cute move from Jason. I really, really like it. Now, going to what Jason's playstyle is, generally, I was saying this before, if he goes to the later stages of the game, he's going to feel more and more comfortable. His chances of winning are probably going to go up, especially versus a player like Raze. And you can see the Reaper is moving into the main, or the natural expansion, actually getting some pretty decent damage done. There's no pylons to put an overcharge over here either, so this Reaper already up to 4 kills, might even end up getting a 5th one. None of these probes even have shields left over.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good Reaper Micro here. And it's going to continue to do damage up in here. The Mothership Core should be able to chase it out eventually, and it looks like he's going to be forced to hop down there. But the Reaper's still alive. It can be suicided in later for information. It still represents a threat, so the Mothership Core can't move out. And it looks like Jason's just going to poke back in here once again, try to get some more information, figure out what his opponent's doing, and maybe pick up a couple more probe kills.
Oh my god, if that Reaper makes it back to the main base, then I think that Tesla may really not be super happy about the situation, because his units have just been on the other side of the map this entire time. That's why he's having such a hard time cleaning up this Reaper, but no, the Reaper's gonna get back into the main base. It's so close to scouting out the Dark Shrine. There it is, it sees it. Jason knows Robbie Plata, Tesla is not gonna be too happy.
Yeah, that's going to put a bit of a damper on Tesla's day. He was definitely going to be relying on that Dark Shrine to, you know, try to make something happen here. And Jason's going to have all the time in the world to prepare for it. The Warp Prism is still moving out, but we'll have to see if he chooses to commit into those DTs immediately. He could go into that double Archon drop style, perhaps.
Well, I think that I'm not gonna lie, this is going back to the whole Tesla is really a big believer in the Blink DTs, just like me. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I feel like just because I am also here watching this, he may have even just been a little bit re-inspired to go for Blink DTs, because he knows that this is just like an amazing, amazing thing to do, especially versus a Terran player. It's so much fun to do. It can really tear him apart, but the question is, how effective is it going to be? There's already missile turrets down, and you have Blink coming up, but here's the thing. Blink DTs, you blink on top of the missile turret, you can do a lot.
Jason actually has a drop going on in the natural of Tesla while all of this is happening. He killed 3 probes, forced the rest off of the line, and Tesla's adept run by is not getting a lot of damage while all of this is going on. Jason is taking a very secure lead as we move into the mid game here, and Tesla just has nothing to deal with these Marines.
I'm not gonna lie, Joe, when you lose the Warp Prism with this kind of build and all 3 of the DTs, you don't actually have a whole lot. You can see the fact that he doesn't really have anything mining at the natural expansion. Another Mothership Core is finally made, but there's no pylons over here at this natural expansion to actually photon overcharge. So he does force the lift up, but that drop can still come back in a little bit later, and we still have yet to see Tesla do any kind of real damage with those Blink DTs.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a situation where Tesla is in absolutely dire straits. Blink is about, or DT Blink rather, is about halfway done, and he's just going to need to make something happen with that if he wants to have a chance of winning this game. Jason's Liberator is now going to come siege up over this mineral line and start putting work in onto the probes. Mothership Core is moving to respond. Photon Overcharge should be able to ward that off if Tesla wants to go for it. But Jason, kind of predicting it, just relocates to an area that's going to be hard to hit.
Yeah, I think that pylon may just barely be out of range of the Liberator and being able to photon overcharge it out. But, well, Stalkers are going to be able to get over here, and there we end up seeing Stalkers getting 2-shotted. That patch has definitely not gone through. Oh my god, is he going to be able to clean it up? Yeah, he does clean it up barely.
But
this is a lot of...
Yeah, it was a lot of Stalkers, and if we look at the resources lost here, we can see that Tesla's actually lost more than twice what Jason has, and it's not to any avail. He hasn't gained any kind of advantage or even put significant pressure on. He's going to lose that DT over there, and I don't know what the next move is if you're Tesla. Maybe a quick GG?
You know what? I'm not going to lie. Here's the thing, Joe. I am a very, very honest person, and Blink DTs, if you have 5 or 6 of them, even if you are facing off versus a really top-level GM player like Jason, if you get 1 to 2 extra seconds before your opponent scans your Blink DTs and they blink on your army, it will still evaporate. It will evaporate very, very quickly. There is still yet hope for Tesla.
Well, I think this next fight is going to be critical if we're going to be seeing that the DT Blink does come down. They're putting a lot of damage in, and it looks like you were right. That was probably the best engagement that Tesla could have hoped for. That was really impressive.
Yeah, doesn't actually lose any more of those Blink TTs. He still has all 5 of the ones that he warped in. And yeah, Blink has been revealed, but That also does make this a little bit harder for Jason. Even losing a handful of those Marines makes this push a little bit less strong. And those Blink DTs can also blink 1 or 2 on top of the Siege Tank. You snipe it off very quickly. We already have Blink DTs moving across the map. Is he going to be able to get some damage done over here?
Oh, Jason is doing a great job of paying attention. That scan is absolutely critical. Picking off 3 of those DTs for free. They're such expensive units. Tesla is now going to be looking to throw down his 3rd. Defensive pylon's going to be warped in first. That's probably smart. But I don't think he has... Oh, he's got a lot of Blink DTs. Can he deal with this bio? The scan goes down. The Blinks come on top of this. And, man, Blink DTs are really good.
Yeah, but not good enough. GG gets called. Jason is going to be able to tie up the series 1-1 with just very solid defensive play.
Yeah, it was a bit like what you predicted, just in the sense of Jason playing this very passive play style, doing a good job of defending, and then just kind of out-dropping his opponent. And then on the other side of the map, Tesla was doing funky stuff. And when you play with funky stuff, it can feel like a bit of a gamble. Sometimes it works. Unfortunately, this time it did not.
Honestly, I think a lot of that game, and it'll sound a little bit silly, but a lot of the game just came down to the fact that Tesla tried to do, I think, a little bit too much. He tried to go for the pylon rush, which is a really cool maneuver. It can work out quite well. But because of that, he also sent all of his units across the map. And the Reaper ended up getting like something crazy, like 6, 7, almost 8 worker kills, I think. And on top of that, scattered out the Dark Shrine, which forced out all the early missile turrets, which made it harder for those DTs to actually do a whole lot, which also forced the repositioning of the Widow Mine from Jason to intercept the Warp Prism, so that was going to be sniped up. It was just a big snowball of different things that all, I think, stem from Tesla moving out with those Adept and this Stalker to try and get damage done at the front. On a map that I think it's sort of hard to get that kind of damage done. Bonnie Research Station is a very easy map to defend 2 bases on.
Yeah, I think your analysis is spot on there. We are going to be moving into a quick break before we come back with our next match, which is going to be that 2v2. But before we go anywhere, guys, we're going to play a quick ad for ASUS. We talked about them earlier. They make some really great products. My favorite gaming laptop I ever owned was an ASUS product. So we're going to play a quick ad for ASUS. You can learn a bit more about them. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them out in chat. Yeah, so we'll be right back with that 2v2.
All of your wind has gone, and all of the paths you've drawn have sunk to the ocean sand where no one can see. You stand, don't let the dark embrace, cower the dreams you chase under the rust and blood. Don't let yourself give up.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the CSL. We have our 2v2 match coming up. It's going to be on Sludge City as always, and we have Centaur and Tugboat facing off against Bones and Bears.
It's going to be a pretty interesting one. For those who don't know, Bones, one of the old school StarCraft players in the scene, has been coming out sort of retirement for this season of the CSL. Used to be a member of the CSL back in the day as well, but he is a very old school Protoss player that had an incredibly macro-oriented style. This is the man that when you looked at 40 or 50-minute games, he was like in his comfort zone. He was the only one that knew what was going on in the old school days of PvP Tempest Wars and Heart of the Swarm.
Well, we're going to be very excited to see him back in action, and we're also excited to see this terrific new 2v2 overlay. Probably not a lot of people have seen this before, right? So this is the WCS 3.0 overlay, guys. If you don't know what you're seeing, it's super beautiful. I believe the lead developer behind it is RTS Shutter, right?
Yes, Ryan Shooter. Even though his name is spelt like Shutter, it's pronounced Shooter.
Right on. So yeah, you guys can go follow him. I think he's on Twitter at RTS Shooter. But anyways, let's go ahead and introduce our teams. Spawning in the top left-hand corner, playing for the University of Ontario Institute of Technology, we have Bones and Bears.
I like the alliteration. And spawning down here in the bottom right, we have Team Red. It's going to be the Red Terran player, Centaur, and his teammates. Tugboat, the purple Zerg player, representing Temple University together.
Bones and Bears kind of sounds like a kind of hipster gastropub that I might go to if I felt like treating myself.
I feel like pretty much anything can be the name of a bar. I remember back in my college days, one of the most frequent bars that we would go to was, I think it was what was it? Where else? It was Where Else, I think.
Where else? I like that.
Every single college town has a Brothers. We had the Cactus. And for some reason, there's like another bar, but all I can think of is Joey Rayner's. And I know that's not the name of my college bar, so.
Joey Rayner's. That sounds like a StarCraft bar.
That sounds like it may have been a StarCraft bar that just inserted itself into my mind. But we do have a bit of aggression that's been coming out in terms of a lot of different Zerglings, or a lot of Zerglings being made for both sides. And I think that Tugboat wanted to get a bit aggressive, but it's going to end up finding that there are quite a few units out for Bears as well.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to get up this ramp as Tugboat gets the wraparound on the Queen. That could be nice if he's able to pick that off and then run away without taking damage. But he manages to save the Queen, does Bears here. And that's going to be a really nice hold to start. The second Queen's out now, so it wouldn't be as big of a deal if that Queen did fall. Both Zerg players still on one base, as is the chaos of 2v2. And it looks like a very good hold out of Bears as Tugboat is chased out of the base.
Yeah, a really solid hold. On top of that, they're going to be able to get both of the Reapers, and that's actually, I'm really impressed because you have to remember, Bones wasn't even really participating in most of the defense over there. The Adepts are coming a little bit late, but somehow Bears managed to hold basically by himself. Takes a really significant lead just in terms of resources lost. I mean, 12 Zerglings lost for the bottom right-hand team of Temple University versus, I think, 3 Zerglings or 6 Zerglings maybe?
Well, now there's kind of the defensive dance coming out of our Temple team here. Centaur, of course, has a couple of Hellions, which can really help with clearing up those yellow Zerglings here. The Adepts that we're going to offer a lot of zoning power. If they get on top of those Hellions, they can DPS them down very quickly. And now it looks like the University of Ontario is going to be trying to break up this ramp. And these Banelings are going to be so devastating if they can connect with Tugboat's Lings.
Yeah, they're going to be going after the Lings, but they don't realize that there is a bit of a timer in this situation right now, because guess what? Banshee is about to pop out right now for Centaur, and once that Banshee pops out, it's going to be able to focus fire down any Banelings. All the Banelings seem to have been cleaned up right now, and I think that now these Adepts are probably going to get cleaned up as well.
Yeah, so the defense seems to be good. Centaur having that clutch Banshee pop out at the perfect moment. This could be a game with a lot of Cloak potential, though, because even though they held this first wave of aggression, they're going to be having to deal with Dark Templars out of Bones in the near future.
Oh my god, both of the Zerg players have just been playing with as many units as possible in the early game to try and hold on against any kind of aggression or get aggressive, whereas the Protoss and Terran players have just been trying to tech up. Now, Banshee does have Cloak already finished up, so it's going to be double detection wars on both sides. Who actually has detection in this game? I don't think we have a Robo from Bones, whereas Terran players just kind of get built-in detection.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. It's going to be hard for Bones to try to deal with this. He does have that Observer finally on the way, but the first Banshee should be able to arrive and do a lot of damage. And it's on Centaur to do a lot of damage because he was the player that sat through all of this kind of early ping-pong back-and-forth aggression and survived relatively untouched, whereas Tugbeat took the brunt of that assault, so Centaur was able to get up to the point he's at now. So it's going to be really important that Centaur does damage with this Banshee rush. The first few shots do go down. The Observer is now out. The Photon Overcharge comes down a little prematurely, and it actually is potentially going to be wearing off without killing that Banshee. And this Banshee seems to have done its job a bit, getting 5 kills before being taken out.
Yeah, and there was a Banshee that also moved into the main base of Bears at the exact same time, has killed off 6 workers. Even with the Spore Callers there, the Queens are out of position because they were trying to help defend Bones' mineral line. And so that is where that sort of team coordination can sort of start to backfire, where one player says, hey, help me out, and then suddenly both players are under attack. And you try and decide who is going to be defended.
Wow, getting a total of 9 kills before backing out, and the Banshee lives. There's a second Banshee here. I think Centaur just had a pretty great move to try to keep Temple inside this game after that early damage that Tugboat suffered.
Oh, DT for Bones moves into the main base of Tugboat. Absolutely nothing done. Gets immediately surrounded. I don't think he even killed a Zergling over there.
No, that was a really nice hold by Tugboat. He had the Zerglings in the correct position. That Spore offered the detection, and you know, sometimes with DTs you just get nothing done, and that's quite an expensive loss. Getting that Dark Shrine is expensive. Making a DT is obviously expensive, and it's just really painful to not have anything done with that.
Yeah, but all things said and done, I really have got to say that the bottom right-hand team, Centaur plus Tugboat, have a pretty decently sized army. I think that's where they're the scariest, whereas Bears and Bones have a really good economy, 41 and 35 workers for the top left-hand players versus the bottom right-hand players who are 34 and 29. So if Centaur and Tugboat can't do some sort of damage with this push-in, I am going to be a bit concerned for them, and I'm really surprised. This seems like mostly just the Terran player pushing in.
Yeah, Tugboat took so much damage in the early game that I feel he's been trying to recover his economy a bit and just kind of using those leftover Zerglings from the early game aggression and defense here. Now they're going to be trying to push in, but there's a lot of units here, and Spire is just about done. I think if Centaur wants to make something happen, he really needs to be doing it before Mutalisks start popping out.
Okay, well, Bears has 5 Mutos popping out in the production tab right now as that Spire is finished up. And Centaur doesn't actually have too much anti-air. He's got a handful of Marines, but those Marines are also on the front line, so they're going to be the first ones going down to any kind of Stalker attacks or even just the Zerglings and Banelings that come in. And guess what? It seems like Centaur realizes that it's not time to be there any longer. He's starting to move out, but are the Zerglings going to let him?
Well, they are going to try to get on top of this tank, and that's going to be a very expensive loss. These Marines don't have any medevac support to pick up. Oh, this move out from Bears was just timed absolutely perfectly, denying any kind of safe retreat. Centaur knows that he's forced to fight here. He turns around and tries to get something done with these Banshees. With Cloak on, they're able to kind of take a few pot shots for free, but now these guys are on the back foot. Centaur and Tugboat, that is, going to be trying to defend against what looks to be a very potent army coming out of their opponents.
Yeah, at the same time that these kind of engagements are being teased at, there are mutas in the main base that kill off the Queen. Now going after the Roach Warren to try and halt production for Tugboat. And if that Roach Warren goes down, I don't know how they're going to be able to keep up with the army supply of Bones and Bears.
Well, the second wave of aggression is coming on at the front here. These Lings are getting the wraparound on everything. Centaur was forced out of position to try to defend Tugboat's economy here, and it looks like that's going to be very painful for them as they're trying to hold on desperately against the non-stop aggression here, and it looks like there could just be too much as these Immortals crush through absolutely everything.
Yeah, but these siege tanks are doing some serious work. They are eventually going to get cleaned up. The Mutalisks are able to add in a lot of extra DPS, but those siege tanks are up to, I think, 15 kills apiece almost, and a lot of those kills on Stalkers, but slowly but surely it seems like Bones plus Bears have finally broken on through and are now starting to take out the raw production for Tugboat.
Yeah, and as that first hatchery falls, Tugboat is forced down to just 2 producing units. He's making Roach a Hydra, which is more larva efficient than a Ling Heavy style, so I guess it's not that punishing if we want to look for things that Tugboat still is going from, but his economy is about to be absolutely devastated by this Ling run by a couple of good hold position Roaches. Actually do manage to prevent this, but it just seems like there's nothing out of Centaur 1 Tugboat to deal with this Stalker Immortal army here.
Yeah, Centaur isn't even really able to produce a lot of the high-tech units. Can't get out those power units like Siege Tanks or Banshees. Now finally starts up a Siege Tank with double medevac production, but a little bit too late at this point to really do that much. The 3 CCs are all nice, but you're not really able to mine effectively from all of those.
Yeah, and now it looks like there's a terrific concave here from Bones, who's just going to be powering on through here. And I think you see kind of some of that riding a bike style. You never lose it when it's a pro StarCraft player. Bones has just been so on point with his aggression, with his production. He doesn't miss a beat with the macro. And now his army's just kind of crushed through here. Some good Blink Micro to kind of finish things off. And now we're looking at a completely undefended main base of our Temple team.
And that's going to be it. GG gets called. We end up seeing Bones as well as Bears both.
Hello, Ravi? Did I lose you? Alright guys, it looks like I am solo for a moment. I'm going to see if I can get Fear Dragon back here. We're going to be coming back with our Archon match in just a sec. But I'm going to try to get some stuff sorted out. So we're going to hop into a quick ad break while I try to bring Fear Dragon back onto the cast. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
All of your wind has gone, and all of the paths you've drawn have sunk to the ocean sand where no one can see. You stand, don't let the dark embrace, cower the dreams you chase under the rust and blood. Don't let yourself give up. And all these steps that we take are leading us far away. And all these years are passing each day. Since then we are far away from where we were. We did what we could. We're light years away from where we stood. The road goes on far from it all. When you reach the end, will you?
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the CSL. Unfortunately, my co-commentator Fear Dragon's internet has died, which means you are going to be stuck listening to me for the remainder of the broadcast solo. I truly apologize for that, but we are going to be getting ready to go into our Archon mode map. It's going to be Daybreak. We've got a great match here. It's going to be Tesla and Centaurwa versus Jason and A-Move. So a bit of a rematch coming up here as we prepare to move into this this next game. Looks like all the players are ready. We're going to be starting that countdown off here. I'm really excited to see because Tesla and Jason are obviously the aces for their, or not the aces rather, but they're the aces of the Archon. And it's going to be kind of a bit of a rematch between them. Obviously, Tesla did not fare too well in that 1v1. But we'll have to see if he can do better in the Archon here with Centaurwa helping him out. Jason, on the other hand, has A-Move. It's like the Canadian EH move. Really excited to see how these guys do. Daybreak's a bit of a bigger map. It's more spread out for drops, blink mobility, that kind of thing. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and introduce our players. Spawning here in the top right-hand corner. Playing for Team Temple, we have Centaurwa and Tesla. And their opponents in the bottom left-hand corner, playing for the University of Ontario Institute of Technology, it is going to be Jason and A-Move. Now, Archon mode, if you guys aren't too familiar, is it's a 1v1, with the critical difference, of course, being that you have two players controlling each of these respective armies. So a lot of the times you'll have one player that focuses primarily on macro, another player focusing primarily on micro, but you can have other cool ways to do it, with one player controlling the main army, poking around, dancing, doing that. One other player maybe just takes control of a warp prism and tries to be non-stop harass, drop, just make the most of having an extra player's worth of APM. It seems like these two teams are relatively well matched as well, which should cause for some exciting games. A-Move is a former Masters player, Centaurwa is a former Masters player, and Jason and Tesla are both high GM. So this should be a lot of fun to watch. This should be a very good level of play coming out of these guys. And it looks like Jason is going to be scouting here. Just getting the full reveal off on that base on the other side of the map. Tesla is doing the same thing, poking around, looking for info, looking for anything crazy that could be coming up. And after that last game, Jason, not taking any chances, going to be making that Reaper. And that's going to allow him a lot of scouting. And with the Archon, the Reaper's just a unit that has a crazy amount of micro potential here. And again, guys, if you are just joining us, this is the CSL between Temple and Ontario, the University of Ontario Institute of Technology, UOIT. UOIT is up 2-1, and this is a best of 5, which means that Tesla and Centaurwa have to pull something out if they want to keep their hopes alive in this series. And it looks like they're actually going to lose a scouting probe to that Reaper. That's going to limit their map presence. If Tesla was planning on doing anything cheeky, they're going to have to be sending out another probe for any kind of proxy or adjust their plans accordingly. I do know that before Tesla, or rather before Ravi left, Tesla was telling him that he had something interesting planned for the Archon. I don't know what it is, but I'm really excited to see if they follow through and if we see anything wonky. A little bit of a depth micro coming out here, going to try to chase down this Reaper. Doesn't look like it'll be able to finish it off as the Reaper jukes out down the ledge. And yeah, it's just going to do the safe thing. Back away, live to fight another day, and keep that scouting potential intact. Looks like we're going to be seeing a Stargate as the tech choice for the Temple team here. And I think that's pretty common in TVP right now. anything other than a Stargate is often pretty all-in. The Stargate gives you that map presence, allows you to do some harassing and Oracle. You take map control with Phoenixes. And actually, shutting down that Reaper. Perhaps Tesla had something to hide, pulling those probes off of the line here. And it looks like they're going to be going straight into Phoenix production is Temple. And I really like this because you have one player that can just take complete control of those Phoenixes and non-stop harass. Phoenixes have maybe the highest micro potential ability. Potentiality, not a word there, in the game. And having one player that can focus on just that has the potential to do a huge amount of work and damage here. Adept gonna come up here, sees the bunker, is going to be shading past it here. Ooh, and actually Depot not raised in time. That's not the kind of mistake you want to be making in Archon mode. Let's see if we can see some good focus firing here, maybe able to pick off a couple of workers. This could be, it looks like the mine is gonna go off and take care of that Adept. Good pull there by the Terran, able to get right on top of that refinery and hide underneath the mine. And it looks like we're going to be seeing a drop coming out of the University of Ontario team. Jason already showed us earlier in this series he favors this this single medevac drop with the Pure Marine. He was able to do just a massive amount of damage against Tesla earlier here in this series with a drop at about this same time. We'll have to see if he's able to repeat the success that he had earlier. It does look like Temple is a bit more prepared for it. The army's properly split. We've got some stalkers in the mineral line ready to deny it. And it looks like Jason's actually just going to be walking up this ramp and trying to put some hurt on into his opponent. Instant photon overcharge coming down. Good defensive reaction. A really cute marine micro, but it's actually not going to be enough. And that Phoenix is able to chase down the medevac and kill a fully loaded medevac. Really, really nice pickup for Temple, who are now comfortable going out with these Phoenixes that have now been revealed and taking map control. On the other side of the map, we see turrets are in place in the mineral line. That's really going to help ward off those Phoenixes. A single turret's probably not going to kill a Phoenix, but it can definitely limit the amount of time that you're allowed to spend in here. We see a quick pickup, and actually these Phoenixes perhaps being a bit over-aggressive takes a massive amount of hull damage on one of them. The rest just bleed out a bit of shields. These Marines moving out of the bunker to try to find a good defensive position. Not able to find it quite yet is University of Ontario, but now they're going to come up here, pick off an SCV building this command center. It looks like another one on top of this barracks should go down, and these Phoenixes are already starting to put in a decent amount of work. They just need to be very careful not to get caught by all of these Marines on the ground. Once again, grabbing another constructing SCV. This isn't just economic damage. This is actually slowing down the production of our Terran team here. So these Phoenixes are definitely finding their value as they continue to poke around and look for any other chinks in the armor. Back on the other side of the map, we see a big gateway force coming here. They're going to be dealing with Marine Widow Mine mostly. And it looks like these Widow Mines are actually going to be revealed by the Observer. This could be really nice here for our Protoss Archon as they come up. One Widow Mine does manage to detonate on just about everything. They're softening up the Gateway army as they start to push. SCVs come off the line to work on these bunkers. A lot of these damaged Gateway units get picked off at the back. This seems to be going quite well for our Terran Archon here. But the Phoenixes once again dart in, look for damage opportunities, find themselves an SCV. This may be the longest constructing command center in the history of StarCraft 2. And Temple's going to pull back, not doing any major damage with the main army, but putting a huge amount of hurt into the economy with those Phoenixes. Looking like they're trying to take the third base is our Terran Archon. They need to cancel those shades or those Adepts are all dead, and they do not cancel the shades. The Adepts walk down into the Widow Mine fire. The Bio's going to clean up what's left of it, and after a really strong pressure opening, that was a bit unfortunate to see. So if we look at the units lost tab here, we see a total of 8 SCVs have gone down, a whole lot of Bios died, and back at home, Temple is gearing up into Colossus. That Thermal Lance is almost done finishing, or done researching rather. And that's going to give the Colossus a lot of extra punch in the upcoming fights. Photon cannons going down, just making sure they don't want to die to any of those drops that Jason is so well known for. But I have to say, if we look at this game right now versus 8 minutes in the previous Tesla versus Jason game, we saw Protoss is just doing a heck of a lot better here. It's a much solider foundation. They don't have a huge lead, But I think it's definitely fair to say at this point in time, the Temple Archon is in the lead as they continue to pump out units. We're going to see some Disruptors added into the mix here, producing 2 at a time. That's going to offer a huge amount of AoE. These Colossus are going to be kind of the anchor of this army, and there's just a huge amount of Blink Stalkers, another unit that really benefits from the micro potential we see in Archon mode. Now, on the other side of the map, it looks like Jason's Archon, the UOIT, is just trying to get their economy going back up again, saturating that third base, getting their army just stronger and able to deal with the threats that they know is going to be coming. Quick scan, but it doesn't look like there's any real vulnerabilities here. A couple of photon cannons, pylons for overcharge potential, and both players are kind of forced to take the defensive posture and try to power up into this mid-game situation. It looks like UOIT might actually catch an observer here, which would be really nice. You don't really want to burn 2 scans on it, though. Ooh, and this Phoenix catching the drop is absolutely huge. They know now that their opponent is going to be looking to go for some kind of a drop in the immediate future, and that can help with army positioning, helping to deflect it, and basically anything to get ready for that. Temple looks like they might want to move out here. With this army, they've got 2 Disruptors, 3 Colossus, and a whole lot of Gateway units to act as a buffer. And both these armies could actually catch each other on the map, taking out those Vikings almost immediately with a quick blink, but careful Micro's able to get them away. Disruptor flank coming in from one side. If this goes off, it's going to be absolutely devastating to this Bio army. And it looks like the UOIT hit squad that was out on the map is going to go down basically for free. It's a really nice pickup. But in the main base of Temple, there's a drop going down, and it looks like there's not a lot to deal with it. Stalkers are warped in, but you can't deal with all this Bio with just 5 Stalkers unless they're sitting under the photon overcharge. But they feel threatened. They're forced to pull out are the medevacs. And it looks like, once again, Temple going to be resuming the defensive posture, feeling perhaps that after deflecting the drop and taking out the hit squad, they did enough with their map presence earlier. Now it looks like it's going to be UOIT's turn once again to be out on the map, looking for any kind of damage they could cause. It doesn't look like they're going to be finding anything quite yet. And in fact, once again, Temple going to be marching up here now, looking for any kind of chink in the armor. There's Widow Mines at the top of this ramp, which is going to make it pretty hard to blink into. And actually, a blink could be devastating. Disruptors are going off, though, here. They do catch those 2 Widow Mines, and that opens up a lot of room for this armor to move around. More Disruptors are zoning it out. I think Temple could take a favorable concave if they want to. Backing off, this Widow Mine doing a great job of zoning. And both these armies are just trying to angle, trying to find a good position. When you get to this point in the game with the Vikings, the Disruptors, and the Colossus, it can be so easy for either army to mismanage their attack. And it looks like a big blink aggressively here by Temple is going to allow them to get right on top of this Bio. The Colossus are firing from behind. We need to see good Disruptor shots if the Protoss wants to prevail. Good dodges out of the Terran here. But it looks like the Protoss may have just a little bit too much. These Stalkers are dying to the Bio. But, oh, a dance comes down here. I hope that's not premature for Temple. SCVs are coming off the line, though, and I think that's going to be it, as almost every unit starts to die here. And, I mean, the hug of death from SCVs can be good, but is it that good? No. Oh, looks like we've got a bit of a freeze here. So we have some technical issues. Looks like a move going to be dropping from this game. Jason says he's okay to continue the game solo. Jason is the stronger player in the Archon, so I'm not surprised he would be willing to continue. It's an absolutely desperate situation here for UOIT, as Temple unfortunately just put a whole lot of hurt on top of these guys with that last attack. Alright, we're not going to be going into a pause or anything, it looks like. Dropping a move and continuing. Jason is floating his 4th command center back. But right now, guys, it looks like there's a very strong chance we'll be moving into that ace match. And we'll have to see who comes out for those. UOIT has burned a lot more of their good players. Jason and Bones, who are probably the two strongest players here in the CSL, are both burnt. They cannot be revived for that ace match. Whereas Raze, who is Temple's ace, is still alive. So that can be a very, very powerful potential that they have in their back pocket. Now the rest of the Temple army is going to join up with the Ford Vanguard force here, and they're going to push right up this ramp. There's just a little bit of bio with some SCVs to tank. Disruptor shots coming off. This one Widowmine could get a miracle shot, strips the shields, but GG is called. King Tesla rather, and Centaurwa take the victory, and we're going to be seeing our ace match here. Oh, so with that amazing micro, the amazing teamwork, and just all-around great performance out of King Tesla and Centaurwa, I'm going to go ahead and give them the Band Together Award. The Band, of course, is one of these social apps that you can use to help coordinate your CSL team. They have great organizational features like an in-clan calendar. They have great ways to communicate with your whole team. You can blast each other with messages. And it just makes the difficult job of organizing a CSL team or some other kind of gaming clan or organization a whole lot easier. They also sponsor the CSL, so we'd really appreciate it if you check them out, guys. You can find them on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. And in case you're interested, I'm going to play a quick ad so you can learn a bit more about Band Gaming before we come back with our ace match.
All of your wind has gone, and all of the paths you've drawn have sunk to the ocean sand where no one can see. You stand, don't let the dark embrace, cower the dreams you chase under the rust and blood. Don't let yourself give up. And all these steps that we take are leading us far away. And all these years are passing each day. Since then we are far away from where we were. We did what we could. We're not years away from where we stood. The road goes on far from it all.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to our ace match here at the CSL. We just saw Tesla and Centaurwa go ahead and take that match as well as the Band Together Award, bringing us to our final ace match, which is going to be a rematch on Whirlwind. We're going to see King Raze playing against Ryuga, and I'm excited to see if Ryuga can bring something more to the table, because obviously he lost pretty decisively in that first map. Raze just busted out a really terrific 3-Vax Reaper build. And I'm not sure if we really got to see what Ryuga's made of. We know he's a Grandmaster player. We know he's on Rival Gaming, which is a really strong clan and team here in North America. I would put them at one of those better Tier 2 teams. And it looks like we're all ready to go in just a second here. So we're going to be hopping into this. There's no sound? I'm seeing people say no sound, but all my sound bars are good. If you guys are watching in the chat, could you let me know if there's any sound? Because all of my sound is looking fine on my end, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Oh, right. I forgot that there's a delay. It looks like all the sound... there's some kind of audio issues with that ad. We'll make sure to get that corrected. We'll play another great informative video. And with all these audio issues, it looks like we're getting ready... Or with the audio issues sorted out, we're going to get ready to hop into this game. This is going to be our ace match, guys. If you're just joining us, it's a rematch of our first map in this series between Raze and Ryuga, taking place on Whirlwind. Whirlwind's, of course, a huge map. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce our players. Spawning here in the bottom right-hand corner, playing for Temple and Sloth Esports Club, we have Raze. And his opponent in the top left-hand corner, playing for University of Ontario Institute of Technology, and also Rival Gaming, we have Ryuga. So if you guys missed the first game, Ryuga suffered a pretty unfortunate loss against Raze. Raze did a 3-Vax Reaper build, and he executed it so cleanly. And I wonder if that's going to affect the mindset of either of these players going in here. Does Raze want to use the same build because it was so effective? Is he worried about his opponent doing the same, or is he worried about his opponent anticipating it, and he doesn't want to do the same thing again? With Ryuga, I wonder if he's going to be playing overly cautious. Maybe he'll try to play greedy and think, excuse me, there's no way he would do that twice. We're going to have to see, as so far everything looks pretty normal out of both of these guys. This could likely just be a Reaper expand coming from Raze here. Raze is a guy that I would say is one of the top players in the North American, one of the top players here in the North American scene. Ryuga is a guy I don't know as much about, but he's a Grandmaster on Rival Gaming, so I know he's made of sterner stuff than what he was able to show in that first match, and I'm just excited to see a good game, a rematch between these two guys, and we'll figure out who our winner of this match is going to be. These are probably two of the strongest teams, rather, here in the CSL, Temple and University of Ontario. Both these teams have their star players. They have a solid amount of depth, but it's really going to be on Ryuga to try to come up with something to deal with Raze. Raze has been just getting a lot of great results lately. He won Psystorm 4. That's the Psystorm land down in the DC area. He took top 4 at Cheesadelphia in Philly, and he's just really been tearing up the North American scene lately. So it's always exciting to see what he's going to bust out. It looks like it could be just a pretty standard play here. Ryuga has speed about halfway done. He's not going to be taking too much map presence until that finishes up. And I think he's actually pretty in the dark with what's going on here. Yeah, scouting incorrectly. It's a bit of misfortune that does happen in these 4-player maps. I think cross spawn tends to favor the Zerg here. You get a bit more room to get your 4 bases up get that economy that you want, and then take the fights and the competitions that you want. There's less room for Terran to kind of dictate what you have to do in response. And Raze here is building up a pretty high Marine count, getting some Hellions. And on the other side of the map, Ryuga is flooding out 22 Zerglings. So I think we're going to be seeing a pretty explosive game here out of these two players. Zergling speed is now finished, and I expect that Ryuga is going to be trying to take map control with that immediately. Raze has absolutely no idea that this is incoming, and it could do a lot of damage. There's nothing at the front to defend this. These two Hellions could be caught. He's going to catch these first glimpse of the Zerglings in just a second. We need to see Great Micro out of these Hellions if he wants to save them. The wraparound doesn't quite go down. Now it does, but with these Marines here to kind of lower the amount of surface area, the Hellions just get a terrific engagement, and all of those links go down, doing practically no damage. That was a terrific fight for a Terran, who's now going to be loading up a medevac to go on the other side of the map and try to do some damage. Looks like Ryuga has a pretty good defensive setup here, but all of these units are going to be out of position if Raze drops the main. This Overlord going to provide some spotting. Is he paying attention? Raze just at the periphery of that vision, so it's going to be really important that Ryuga repositions his units. He's going to have two-prong aggression coming, which is going to really tax his multitasking here. Now this medevac gets into the main. A few Marines starting to get dropped off. Good drone pull, immediate reaction. And with this wall, he's able to hold the front with the Hellions. So far, so good for Ryuga. It appears these Queens are going to come up defensively. It looks like he might lose an Extractor, which is not the end of the world. But actually, the Marines are forced away before they can even take that. Mostly just denied mining time here is the only issue for Ryuga. These Hellions are going to come in and start trying to poke away at this third. There's no drones here yet. And Raze is not going to hang around and just try to put DPS onto that. He knows, oh, this is really unfortunate for Ryuga, whose Queens were just slightly out of position. That wall not being effective, and Raze is able to get into the mineral line. And it's going to be Korean barbecue here as all of these drones start going down. One more good volley could bring us up to 12 double digits. That was a really nice run by. It's good for Raze that he was able to get something done with all those Hellions. We see Ryuga droning back up immediately, but he doesn't want to be remaking those drones. He wants to be powering up his economy further or putting that into workers. We now actually can see that Raze has a worker lead, not where you want to be in this stage of the game if you're Ryuga. He's going to try to get that creep spread going back out. He does have a high queen count, which should allow him to spread creep very quickly, but creep doesn't help you see the incoming drop in your main base. These Marines are going to step up. The Liberator sieges up here, and that's going to make a way to cost-effectively engage this a lot harder for Ryuga. Raze starts to put some work into this hatchery. The Zerglings swing around from behind, get the wraparound on all of these Marines, but able to disengage is Raze with this medevac. He does lose the Liberator, though. So even though Raze is doing damage, Ryuga is at least able to make it costly. This drop going down in the natural once again here. These Marines trying to get the best work they can, but the Zergling count is high enough to push them away. And I think this stage of aggression is just about over for Raze. This Liberator may be able to clean up a few more units. It's got a total of 10 kills before it goes down. Taking off that final Queen is kind of its death rattle there. And it looks like once again Ryuga is going to be left in peace for the moment as Raze takes his third CC. Or rather, takes his third CC position. Ryuga's starting to get that creep spread growing. His economy took a really bad beating during all of that aggression, so that's unfortunate for him. But it looks like he could perhaps take his fourth in the near future, and that could give him the production he needs. He's going to be moving out with just a pocket of Zerglings here. Going to be looking for maybe a couple out-of-position SCVs, but Raze has more than enough to shoo this away. A few Zerglings get tucked behind this mineral line here. Not really going to be able to do anything, though, is Ryuga. Those siege tanks blast him away from behind, and Raze may actually get this Overlord as well. It's a nice pick-off. Overall, I would say King Raze just has a really comfortable lead here in this game. His 1-1 is actually going to finish up before Ryuga's. That always feels great when you're the Terran. You're able to DPS down those units so quickly. Ryuga is not making it easy for him, though. He held on during all that initial aggression. It absolutely would have killed the lesser player, and Ryuga is not out yet. He needs to be powering up his economy. He needs to not take any more economic damage. He's going to be getting that 4th base, which will unlock a lot more production potential for him. He's going to be spreading creep, and it's Whirlwind cross spawns. That gives him a lot more time than other maps. The rush distance is very long. Raze is trying to abuse that with really constant dropping, really constant aggression with the medevacs, the Hellions in the earlier stages of the game. Ooh, nice positioning on these Zerglings. He's actually going to be able to see this incoming. But Raze does drop right on top of him and clean them up very quickly. And Ryuga just doesn't really want to be bleeding out units right now. He can't afford to. Going to lose another Overlord here, and now these Marines are going to start to press onto creep. There is slow Banelings, Queens, and Roaches to try to hold this. And so far so good for Raze as he kind of kites away, dances around this army. He doesn't want to stick and fight it. If those Banelings crash into him, doesn't matter if your army is a little bit better quality, you're just absolutely going to collapse. And now Raze is on creep. I think he might need to pick up and get out of here before these Banelings arrive, and that's exactly what he's going to do. But the aggression is not going to be stopping anytime soon, as Raze pumps out 2 more medevacs. They're going to be going to the right side of the map, and he doesn't stop microing these units here. He's losing a Marine here or there, but nothing significant. This drop still has so much potency. Ryuga doing a good job of repositioning his units. He knows that drop is likely going to be yo-yoing back and forth between his main and his 4th, but I don't think he has any idea that this is on the way. Scan goes down to clear up some creep for Raze. He's just pushing Ryuga further and further into defensive stances, and now Raze is going to get right on top of these drones. A lot of drones are going down to this. It looks like he's actually going to be able to clean up maybe 10 or 11 drones here. A couple of Banelings get pretty good connections, but the army isn't cleaned up, and I think all of these workers are going to be forfeit. A total of 15 drones have now gone down, and this is an absolute disaster for Ryuga. Raze is approaching max, and Ryuga struggling to hit 100 supply. This is a very, very bad situation for University of Ontario as Raze continues this dropping aggression. He never gave Ryuga a moment to breathe. He never allowed him to move out onto the map after that first wave of Zergling aggression from Ryuga. And I think Raze is going to secure a victory for Temple here in our ace match. Oh, excuse me, my voice. Starting to lose my voice a little bit here, guys. I've been recovering from an illness, but that's okay because StarCraft is hype and powering me through this. But that looks like it's going to be GG. Temple is going to take the entire series here. Going to that ace match, Raze was able to make something happen. So that is going to be it for this series, guys. My name is Joe Laguitas. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can use the command casters in chat. You can find me there. I've got a lot of cool projects coming up. I work with Cheesadelphia, Nerd Street Gamers, and we do a lot of cool stuff for StarCraft there. My caster for today, or my co-caster rather for today, was Fear Dragon. Unfortunately, his internet died, so he didn't make it to the end of this broadcast. But if you want to follow him on Twitter, he is at FearDragon64. I want to say a final thank you to our sponsors, Band Gaming, of course. We've told you a lot about them. They're a great social app. You can check them out on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. You should absolutely check out ASUS as well. They're back. They're sponsoring CSL once again. They've been a sponsor in the past, and they've been kind enough to return. They make some great gaming laptops, terrific routers, really good keyboards if you guys are in the market for any of that kind of stuff. Check them out as well. And last but not least, Twitch, the platform that you are watching CSL on, is a major sponsor of the Collegiate Star League. They help to make all of this possible. So if you're just lurking in the chat, go ahead and make a Twitch account. It's a nice way to say thank you and let them know that you made one because you love the fact that they support CSL. We'll be back next Thursday, same time, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. So be sure to tune in for that. It's going to be a terrific match as always. And I think that's going to do it for us, guys. I want to play some messages from our sponsors. And until next time, thanks for watching CSL.
When all of your wind has gone